Well, it really is a gift to teach here. To be able to be the math teacher here is a gift on top of a gift, because typically math is a difficult subject to teach, because you get kids and you're expected to teach them in a certain way at a certain time, and you're not given a lot of flexibility. But the flexibility here at LaSalle, it even comes down to, I had a student ask me when we were on site in France, should I call you Sean or Mr. Berg? And that question struck me because it's just so nice to be able to have a 13-year-old ask me that, and for me to not really have an answer beyond, well, it doesn't matter to me as long as you say it with respect, because ultimately we're building a community here. And whether it's in math class or any other class, building kids that like each other and want to help each other is always one of our main goals. And with our class sizes of only 2 to 5 students, I get to work closely with these kids every class, every day. So there's almost no downtime. There's no hiding their math skills from me. I get to see every day what they can and can't do. And because of that, the personalized learning comes into play almost every day. That curriculum that I mentioned, typically per year, kids are supposed to learn X, Y, and Z, but we are in no way held to that standard. We get to move the kids up and down depending on, oh no, sorry. We get to move the kids up and down levels depending on where their strengths are. And within these classes of 2 to 5 students, it's awesome to sometimes watch small groups of kids help each other as well, because sometimes there might be a language barrier because some of the kids aren't native English speakers. And it just, again, to see them helping each other, it lets us know that we're building a strong community here. Another awesome aspect of being a math teacher here at LaSalle is that I teach kids from 10 to 14, and that includes so much math curriculum, from number sense and fluency all the way into higher level algebra and even pre-calculus. And so for me, as a lover of math, I get to sense and see and plan for every kid's development all the way through, so I can ensure that they're seeing the connections of what they're doing. They're never just learning a rote set of steps just to complete an assignment, but I'm always thinking in my mind, and hopefully they're asking me questions too. Why am I doing this? Why does this work? And we get to explore that. And in a classroom of 25 or 30 kids, you don't get to do that usually. So for me to get to do that all the time with these kids, it's a gift. So I think I've mentioned the word gift 3 or 4 times. The fact that we all get to make mistakes together. You know, sometimes I'm learning alongside the students what their best method is for learning a particular math concept. And as we're learning together, we're growing together. Are we reinventing the wheel here at LaSalle? Well, I can emphatically say, sort of. Because if the wheel's rolling for all these kids, every day we're making micro adjustments along the way, because that's the best for our students. And also, like with our STEM program, we are developing ways for the kids to connect the sciences with the math and engineering and technology. And we've now dedicated 1 day a week to a STEM class, which Joe and I get to teach together. And we've really enjoyed watching the kids work together, because this is also a class where the whole school is together at once. So we have all of our age ranges working together to understand the greater concept than whatever they're doing in their other contents. So to talk a little bit more about our STEM program and science in general, we have an amazing math, well, I'm the amazing math teacher, but we have an amazing science teacher. She's named Joe. And for more about our science and STEM program, here she is. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks,
Actually,
Sean.
Joe, can I interrupt you just for a second?
Sorry.
Yes.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to just add a little bit to what Sean was saying about ability to build really personalized curriculums for each kid. And since we have some children who are advancing in math really fast, or they're intrigued in a variety of subjects that are kind of applied math, we really don't have a ceiling, like they would not hit something, something at the top, so they can progress as far as they can, and we can help them along the way. So our curriculum is structured in such a way that we can support those kids who are, maybe interested in competitive math and doing really something really advanced, but we don't focus on really acceleration. We don't want our kids to, do college math by the end of, by the time they're 13. The idea is to go deeper and wider, so we can have different mathematical instruments and different math really used to solve different problems. And you can use, they don't need to have no linear algebra or mathematical analysis to do that, but they do need to learn new kind of approaches. Like we have graph theory, for example, embedded in our curriculum, which on the basic level will allow kids to understand how the connections work, like social connections and stuff like that, and have a mathematical language behind it. So that kind of, I think, a great thing that we have, and it's true not only for math, for all the subjects, where we basically meet where the kids are and we allow them to go as far as they can and as wide as they can. So we really try to show in the world in all its kind of variety, and give the instruments, like the science instruments and mathematical instruments, language, social instruments, to basically advance even further. So that's kind of my little spiel for the math and science. And Joe, now to you, our amazing science teacher.
Awesome. Thanks, Helen. Thanks, Sean. So as has been said, my name is Joe. I'm a science teacher. I also help out with STEM for the Soleil Discovery School. Our STEM program is really built to not only establish teamwork, as Sean mentioned, having it being one of the few classes where all the students are participating in, but also having the students really look at those real world scenarios involving math, science. Right now in our STEM program, we're looking at natural disasters, so tornadoes, tsunamis, earthquakes, and looking at how engineering can help solve, prevent, protect against those disasters. So in our last on-site session, we had students build some seawall designs, and what they did is they worked in small teams, and they ended up building some seawall designs in these teams based off of given criteria and constraints that we learned about in class. And at the end of this design, we actually tested them in a makeshift wave tank, thanks to Mr. Berg, Sean, over there. And the students ended up focusing really on rock armor and recurve walls. And the goal of this was to stop the waves from impacting and flowing over this back wall. And if you watch this video, you can really see what one of these teams was able to do in just 1 day, 2 days of building this wall. So that's just one really, really brief example of what our STEM program is doing. The main goal of this is not only to have them thinking about math and science. We know that those two disciplines are so well interconnected, but really thinking about the economic impacts, the social impacts, how people make decisions in the real world involving the communities that we all love when it comes to protecting them. Additional STEM ideas that we have done is last December, we focused on looking at mortality rates in developing nations connected to unsanitary water and open solar cooking or open fire cooking processes. And the students then created solar cookers, which had them apply concepts of thermodynamics with geometry to make solar cooker designs, which then we had a tiny science fair from. So again, then having them write about it, having them speak about it, and getting them creative in solving real world problems that we can actually look at in the classroom. So that's a little bit about STEM. Science is very similar in my approach to how I teach science, and where STEM isn't just focused on this one-sided how to incorporate engineering and math to solve a problem, trying to make it really broad. In science, we also really try to not only teach scientific facts and theories, but more teaching on how scientists think and answer problems. So focusing on questioning, looking for patterns, reading data, identifying information, informing arguments, and of course, using evidence to support our claims, which is also a huge ELA concept as well. So just a little personal anecdote to end. One of the joys of Les Soleil Discovery School is that I can really personalize where the students are and hit where they're coming from. Having really small class sizes allows all of us teachers to talk to our students and meet our students where they are. This past fall, I was preparing chemistry class, which is challenging to do online anyway. So I was gathering materials, making activities, and I gave my kids a pre-assessment, which all of the students excelled at. They just went over the park. So instead of panicking, we stopped and I asked the students, well, what really do you know? What do they not understand? And what do they want to know about chemistry? And it led us doing a 4-week intensive look at valence electrons, molecular structures, and why metallics act like metallics and why they conduct electricity. Which in a typical classroom, that would have not been the case, where I could have actually curated a whole 4-week study about where the students wanted to learn. The same goes with our younger students. Like we have a student who came in at the ripe age of 9. She was our STEM scholarship student, and I didn't know what to do with her because on her opening assessment, I could just tell that her performance dipped at the end of that opening assessment. And I didn't think it was because her knowledge. I think that was probably because she lost interest in an opening assessment. So I had her in a one-on-one class, and turns out that she is not only at a 6th grade science level, or what we typically deem that, but she is actually probably pushing it. But she needed more of those smaller skills of how to share your screen, how to access documents, how to type well thought out responses. And also working with her one-on-one allowed me to verbally assess her knowledge. So the joy of Les Soleil is not only having these small class sizes, but really being able to individualize how we're working with students and understanding that knowledge isn't only written.